for Christ's glory. We're live Sunday morning. Sorry about the late start for those of you that saw the, advertisement? Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
But we had technical difficulties. Jeremiah has a hard time with technology. And maybe his co-host was a little late. But we don't know the truth. We'll never know. No one knows what really happened.
No,
we're here. We're here.
We do know what really happened.
Thanks for the coffee, brother. That is good.
You're welcome. It's just black.
Really good. Yeah. Black coffee. That's how we drink it. No foo-foo stuff. No creamers. No additions. Black Rifle coffee, just black.
It's just black.
Yeah. Free promo to the. They're not a sponsor, Black Rifle Coffee, but if you'd like, if anybody is watching this,
if they would like to be a sponsor,
we're accepting sponsors. Yeah. I mean, we're not quite filled up. We still have room.
Yeah, we still have room for one or two more.
One or two. So, welcome. We haven't been around for a while. Where have we been? Where has plundering Leviathan been?
I was wondering that beginning at 7:30 this morning. I was like, where are we?
I mean, not just this morning, but over the last few weeks, where have you been? You went on a trip.
I did go on a trip.
For those of you that follow the Treasuring the Text, you saw Jeremiah meandering around Washington, Philadelphia, Northampton.
Yeah.
Was that Massachusetts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you watch those?
Putting his face on the ground at David Brainerd's gravesite.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Kissing the relics of the saints.
Yeah, I watched those. Of course I did.
Yeah?
Well, yeah. It's like a Where's Waldo? You gotta.
Well, you can see how many people watch, and every time I see that somebody watched one of the Treasure in the Text, I always wonder who was it. Now I know.
I was one of the 13.
Yeah,
I even commented a couple of times. Yeah.
About my freedom.
One time about your freedom.
Yeah. So we went my family took a 2-week trip out to the East Coast and did a history of our country tour. So 250 years, we're celebrating our country as a civilized society, as a constitutional government, like the freedom that we have today, 250 years. And so we spent 3 days in Washington, D.C. The government buildings frown upon you taking weapons into their facility.
Yeah, turns out.
Yeah. So I always have my Leatherman on me. And
for those listening, this is a knife.
It's a knife. It's a multi-tool.
Multi-tool with a knife.
With multi-knives.
Multiple knives.
Multiple knives. And I've had it taken away at the airport twice. And you don't get it back when they take it away. So then I go back to Cabela's and I buy a new one for $120 or whatever. And then
How many times have you had this taken away?
Oh, dude,
a couple of times.
It's sad. I was remembering last night. We went over and visited my brother, and we were recounting the time when I gave it to the attendant at the Xcel Energy Center as we went to watch.
Yeah.
One of our Minnesota teams.
Uh-huh. Did you get it back that time?
No, they always keep it. You donate it to them. Some security guard brought it home, no doubt.
Yeah.
So.
You think you learn after a couple.
No, I did.
3 times.
No, that's the thing. No, I have. So we get into the Library of Congress, and right before we're going to go through security, I remember, I have my knife. And so, I don't know if our listeners care, but I was basically James Bond. I dropped it behind the trash can, this, really fancy security grade trash can. As I was walking by, it was just a super smooth motion so that I didn't have it as I walked through security. And then we went through the Library of Congress. And then after we were done, I went around into the entrance line again and managed to sneak my knife back from the trash can and then work my way against the flow of traffic out the entrance line. And then from that point on, I would just drop it in the bush right before we went into a building.
Like the Outback?
Like the Outback.
The bush.
The bush. No, more
The
like
bushes or the bush? The bush is the outback,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, bushes.
The bushes.
But one bush.
Put a bush. Okay, got it.
A bush in the bushes.
Great.
Yep. So we spent 3 days there. We went to Philadelphia for a day, and we made it to Independence Hall, which is where the Declaration of Independence was signed, where the Constitution was signed. We got to see George Washington's chair with the rising sun on the back of it. Just awesome. And it's the original chair, like George Washington. By the way, you missed Wednesday Connection this week. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. I have a real job. I don't just work 1 hour on Sundays.
And so I did a biography on George Washington, and you missed it. You missed it.
On George Washington.
I did.
Yeah. Cut down a cherry tree or something, didn't it?
No, that's actually probably a
myth.
A myth. Probably didn't happen.
No.
You would have known that
if I'd been there on Wednesday.
So then we went to New York City. That was bonkers. Driving a full-size SUV.
Did you go to Yonkers?
No.
Oh. They said it
was
Yonkers.
No, that was bonkers.
Oh, bonkers in Yonkers?
No Yonkers. Just bonkers.
Because you were driving a big truck, like an Expedition, right? Big.
Yeah, like a full-size SUV, which I think I just said a second ago.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where bonkers was in New York, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're running behind today. That's fine.
Not enough coffee.
So we went to the Statue of Liberty, walked around that, walked up the Statue of Liberty. Asher, my 7-year-old, walked up the Statue of Liberty with us, and you can get outside, and the ledge is, yay tall, not tall,
mm-hmm.
and fall over. And if you have an energetic 7-year-old boy that thinks everything is a war zone, and is, oh man, I was pretty nervous as a dad for half an hour.
Oh, I bet.
And we walked around Ellis Island for a bit. You would have loved it there. And then we went to Boston and spent a couple of days in Boston. Went to Bunker Hill. I almost said Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill, which is one of the first military conflicts of the Revolution. And brother, such a cool thing to stand on a hill where you just imagine, like you look out across the horizon and you just imagine the redcoats swarming in, and like you're outnumbered, you're outclassed, you're outskilled, you're outgunned. Like you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
You just have to know that.
That's why they shot at the guys with the funny hats.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
You're not gonna win standing, chest to chest in an open field. So guerrilla warfare was what was needed. The Virginia riflemen were a big part of that.
Yeah, we read or listened to a documentary the day before we went, and we heard some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where you get the famous "Don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes."
Oh, sure.
Because they were running out of ammunition. They just couldn't afford to not hit their mark every time.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, now, if the movie The Patriot is at all based on true stories, they were melting down. Do you remember the scene in The Patriot where he's melting down his kids, like little army toy soldier thingies? Oh man. Yeah, so he was running out of ammunition, so he's melting down the toy soldiers and making ball out of them or whatever, musket ball and then fire. Great movie, The Patriot. One of my favorite scenes is he's hiding behind a tree. Mel Gibson plays the father that did not want to get involved in this war, the Revolutionary War, but his son was ruthlessly killed by one of the redcoat commanders, whatever. And so through like a man, like what he's going to do when his son is killed, he's going to get retribution. And so he joins the war on the side of the soon to be Freeman, and goes bonkers, actually. And there's one scene where he's got his two sons with him, young sons, gives them the guns, tells them to hide behind this log, right? Tells them shoot when you shoot for the guys in the funny hats or whatever. And then he hides behind a tree. He's got guns stashed up behind all these different trees. And he says a little prayer behind the tree. He says, Lord, make me fast and accurate. And then when the redcoats come in, and I think they have his other son like in custody or something, right? Because for some reason his other son was taking custody. But anyway, so he's trying to ambush this, this jail train or whatever it is. And it was a great scene. And then at the end, he goes to work on a guy with an axe.
Huh.
The dude was dead.
Yeah.
Like after the first hit, probably with the tomahawk. After the 40 or 50th, he was real dead. Anyway, great scene, great movie. Huh. Melting balls down, melting soldiers down. Rabbit Trail.
Yeah.
Got to see the movie.
So then we went to Northampton.
It'd be a good movie for the 250th.
Where Jonathan Edwards preached during the Great Awakening. And then we got
the Great Awakening? Was there only one?
First Great Awakening.
The one, the first one. Second one was later.
Later. Second one usually comes after the first one. And then we got to go to the gravesite of David Brainerd, who was one of the most instrumental figures in the modern missionary movement. And then we swung by Niagara Falls on our way home. Liz and I honeymooned there 18 years ago. Haven't been back for 18 years. So I told her the next time we go back to Niagara Falls, I will be 60. If we go every 18 years.
Yeah. Checks out.
It's crazy.
The maths. 42?
This year.
24, 42, and 60. If the math is right. You were married when you were 24?
Probably.
I mean, if you're doing your math right, either that or you're making up a story.
What are we talking about today?
I want to know how many Muslims came in to Ellis Island. Did they have a list of like the Mohammeds and the?
No, not that I saw
that list.
No. They might have a room somewhere.
Yeah, not many. That. I would imagine probably none.
Probably not many.
Right, but when you were at Niagara Falls, probably saw a lot of. I would assume you saw some Muslims and a little bit more of a diverse, populace.
Oh yeah,
would you say?
Yeah,
yeah, and that's what we're seeing here in Minneapolis. Sometimes called Little Mogadishu.
That's true.
We have Mogadishu is a city in Somalia. I think maybe I don't know if it's their capital but big city in Somalia. And yeah, they call us Little Mogadishu because we have such a large population of Somalis who are 99% Muslim.
Yeah.
99.9%.
I'm sure.
Yep. I think I've met one Somali Christian.
Wow.
Yeah. But I thought he was Somali. I think I found out later that he's not actually. He's from another Eastern. I think he's from Eritrea or something.
Okay.
So maybe I've met none.
I've never met.
Yeah.
A Somali Christian.
I've heard a rumor of them, but there's not many.
Well, I'm very optimistic about the work of the gospel across the globe. That would include the Twin Cities, and so by the grace of God, I expect to meet some, but I have not yet that I'm aware of.
No, and I don't know a lot of people that are bringing the gospel to the community, to the Somali community here, especially in Minneapolis. I know there's got to be some.
Yeah, there are.
I know that one of our co-elders, his parents, his in-laws.
Yeah, his in-laws.
Yep. His in-laws were missionaries in Somalia, and so now they're here, back home in the U.S., and so they have a wonderful opportunity. I don't know if they're actually engaging the Muslims here, but
we have a brother in the TCMBA who is basically his life's work is bringing the gospel into the Muslim community. Mm-hmm. He just graduated with a PhD and he wrote his dissertation, I think it was, on how something to the effect of how Christians engage Muslims.
Yeah.
How to do evangelism in a Muslim community.
Yeah, it's hard.
I
mean, I've done some with some guys, just developed relationships through meeting guys. So there was a gentleman that I befriended, and we, had conversations, and he would send me videos of imams that were giving talks, and because they're actually very evangelistic in their efforts. They're a proselytizing religion for sure.
Oh yeah,
and their methods can be variegated depending on the population of Muslims in that area. There'll be different methods that they use, right? So if they're the minority in a Christian area, it's going to be more friendly evangelization, trying to make Islam look peaceful and very desirous to a Christian. If they're the minority. If they're the majority in a culture, it becomes very militaristic and very like you're going to convert by the sword, not through persuasion. Mm-hmm. And that's just been the trend over the almost 1,400 years or over 1,400 years now.
Yeah, that
Islam has been around. When the minority, it's very peaceful, very persuasive. When they are the majority, it is now Sharia law and conversion by the sword.
Yeah,
and so people say, well, it's this was really common. I think it was George Bush, President Bush said that it's a religion of peace. This was after 9/11, when he was trying to make peace with this situation, and so you hear that a lot, that it's a religion of peace, and I think their scriptures actually refute that pretty clearly. So maybe what we start with, anybody with eyes in their head knows that there's a growing population of Muslims in America, especially in Minneapolis. And so we don't have to convince you of that. We could go through the numbers. I mean, there's 2 billion Muslims worldwide.
Is that the number now?
Yeah. Yeah, 1.9 plus, say 2 billion. It's the fastest growing religion on the globe.
So I was reading this book, Handbook of Denominations in the United States, earlier this week. I flipped over to the page on Islam, but this is dated. What's the date of this? 2010.
2010. Yeah, it just okay. So I did a little bit of back of the napkin math.
Yeah, when they were talking about how it's one of the fastest growing religions in the world, but at this point, back then, it was like 1 billion, 1 point something small.
1 point something, yeah. Yeah, no, it's grown. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely the fastest growing religion on the planet. A lot of it through, by the sword, quite frankly. But they are proselytizing here in America, and they're not yet converting by the sword. And Lord willing, that'll never happen. But in America, Muslims are about 4.4% of our population now.
Wow. So
take that back. 1.4%. It's almost 4 or 5% in the UK. So this is as big of an issue in the UK, bigger issue, I would say, in the UK than it is in the US. There are about the same number of Muslims in the UK that there are in the US. And you're talking about a population in Britain or in the UK, which is, 70 million versus a population here in the US of, 300 plus, or whatever, depending on what math you go by. Some people say the population is actually a lot higher than the official numbers.
Sure.
Because we don't know who's really getting in, which is another issue.
Yep.
Regardless, there is a growing problem.
When you say, I want to just be really clear, because there's a lot of people that I've talked to in the last maybe 6 months about Islam that have never studied this at all.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get to the real basics. But when you say Muslims, what is a Muslim, and how is that different from Islam?
Yeah. So Islam is the religion. Islam means one who submits, or one who surrenders, and so that is Islam. Or sorry, take that back. Islam is to submit to Allah, submit to God. Mm-hmm. Muslim is one who submits. That's the difference.
Sure. Okay.
So the religion of Islam is a religion of submission.
By definition.
By definition. That's what the word means, to submit. And a Muslim is one who submits. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's the Islamic religion. That would be, Islam is to Christianity, is to Christianity what.
Yeah. So a Muslim is one who follows Islam, just as a Christian is one who follows Christianity.
Sure. That's the way to say it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the religion that we speak of. So Mohammedanism would be that's historically what they were called. So
really? Mohammedanism. Mohammedan.
Sure, named after Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're Christians because we follow Christ.
Uh-huh.
And they're Mohammedans.
Mohammedans.
Because they follow Muhammad. Right. So that would be, a better way to say it. If you read old books, especially, back from 10th, 11th, 12th century, they're gonna call them almost always Mohammedans.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know
that. So that's why, that's why when we're oftentimes lifting weights, I say things like the Mohammedan is coming at you with a scimitar. You better get over that wall.
Right.
Things like that. But
yeah. Would it be helpful to talk a little bit about Muhammad?
We should. That is, so their core tenet, or I guess their conversion, I don't know if it's a statement, so we would say as Christians that to be a Christian, you need to confess with your mouth that Christ is Lord and believe in your heart that he was raised from the dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yep.
That's our core, I guess, tenet of the faith for Christians. So Muslims would say that they have to say the Shahada, and that's the declaration of faith.
Mm-hmm.
The declaration of faith is there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. And so they are people that revere a book and a man. And that's where they're so similar to Christians.
In that we revere
a book is revealed. Yeah, the man revealed in our book.
That's right. Yeah, that's good.
So we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would say, quite frankly, that Islam is closer to Christianity than Judaism, even.
So here's what you'll hear people say. Are you arguing this? You'll hear people say that Muslims and Christians worship the same God.
That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't. Their God is not the same God. They claim so. Okay, go back. Muhammad was the final messenger in Islam. He was the one that brought the true scriptures and the true religion, according to Muslims, mm-hmm. to the world. They say that that Adam was the first messenger. Eve was the first woman. They say that Abraham was a messenger. They say
Moses.
They claim all of the prophets. They claim the Old Testament in its original language as scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And Moses is also a messenger. They claim Jesus as a messenger.
Mm-hmm.
They claim the book they call the I can't say it in Arabic, but what we would call the gospel.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The Igalan or however they say it in Arabic.
I don't. Right.
I don't speak Arabic, and just for the record, I've known a little bit about Islam over the years. I am not an expert.
Here's what I want to clarify. This is good. Neither of us are experts.
No.
We live in a city that has a growing population of Muslims.
Yeah.
And so as pastors of a local church, we just need to have this conversation and have it in public. So we want to get the conversation started.
Yeah.
My hope is not to really bring about an exhaustive education on Islam, because I don't have that.
No.
I want to grow in that.
We can point you to the people that do.
Yeah, I need to grow in that.
Yeah.
My goal for this conversation is to help our people see that Islam and Christianity are very different. We have similarities,
yeah,
but we are two very, very different frameworks of faith in the one true living God.
Yeah.
And Christianity is the only religion that brings hope.
Yeah, that's where we're going to end.
That's yeah,
absolutely, and that's where we want to end
right.
in our discussion. Discussions with Muslims is we want to offer them the hope that is the gospel, and there are a lot of obstacles that you have to overcome to be able to even do that. And just by nature of what Islam is, it's very isolated. It's not very open to thinking about the gospel. It's very hard to get out of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're basically, you have to die to your family and your people.
Oh yeah.
They have a very strong in-group preference. They have a very strong community, and you are seen as dead if you leave. I mean, in a lot of countries, if you leave the faith, you're killed for it. I mean, they see it as just treason.
Well, it's in they're instructed to do that in their holy book.
He's got it.
And I mean,
well, you got it marked up.
Oh yeah, when we have the appropriate time, we'll read just from their book.
That's great. Yeah. So, yes, Muhammad,
born
570.
570.
Yeah, he was born 570 AD in Mecca. He died. He died in 632 AD. Mm-hmm. Jesus did not die. Important distinction to make here. Their prophet died.
Well, our prophet did die.
But he did not stay dead.
But he did not stay dead.
Muhammad stayed dead.
570
to 632. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was in about 610? I forget exactly when Muhammad had a vision.
He was in the caves.
At Mecca in the caves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The angel Gabriel came to him. An angel gave him a new message. And
not God.
No.
Just an important distinction. Nowhere in the Bible do prophets receive the word of God mediated through angels. Prophets always receive the word of God from God.
That's right. Yeah.
Muhammad, claiming to be a prophet, never heard from God. He doesn't claim that. He heard the word of Allah mediated through Gabriel.
Right.
Okay.
And over the course of, I think, 23 years, this angel he calls Gabriel and him had conversations, and through that came eventually the Quran, which was not written until much later. I should have brought that with, but I don't think it actually was printed.
The first thing that we have is over 100 years later. The first reference
to the writings
to Muhammad's life and his visions and that.
And we can get into that.
Come 100 years later.
We can get into that because one of the things that Muslims believe is that the Quran is the only perfect book. That our Bible is corrupted. When you get into conversations with Muslims, they'll say that your scriptures are corrupted. They claim the original writings, Old Testament, New Testament. They claim those in their original form, but they claim also that all of those original writings are gone, and everything that we've had since has been corrupted. So thankfully, we've gone through historical, critical endeavors before in the church, especially in Germany, when that kicked off, and so we're prepared to defend the veracity of our scriptures, and so we can do that, and that is a conversation that you'll have to have eventually with every Muslim is the truthfulness of our scriptures, and how they are perfect and final, and the Quran is another gospel, if you will, even though it's lacking a gospel.
Yeah, there's no gospel in the Quran.
It's all law.
Yeah.
And they'll admit that.
Yes.
It's a religion of law.
Yeah, the gospel is the good news that God is holy and you are not, and you'll never attain to holiness. You never can. But God made a way for you to be in relationship with him now and forever by sending his only begotten son, which is heresy to a Muslim, that God would have a son.
Right.
That's blasphemous. God sent his only begotten son to pay for your sin on the cross so that you could know that you are saved now and for all eternity. John finished his gospel by saying, what I've written so that you may know that you have this hope in Christ. And they don't. So the gospel is good news that God made a way for you to have a relationship with him, for your soul to be saved, cleansed, forgiven, redeemed now and forever. And they don't have that in Islam.
Yeah, in Christianity we say you cannot be saved by the works of the law.
Right.
Whereas in Islam they say that you do the works of the law, and there's no guarantee you'll be saved even when you do them.
Yeah.
You're at the mercy of this God Allah,
who is free to change his mind even in his scriptures.
Yes. Yeah. His scriptures are, the later scriptures abrogate the writings later in the Quran abrogate the writings early in the Quran. Because if you start reading from the beginning of the Quran, it's very peaceful to start out with. These are the life and times of Muhammad in Mecca when it was peaceful.
Yeah.
When he was trying to be more of a proselytizer and a man of peace. It was more irenic, or the irene is the Greek word for peace. And so it was more ironic in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah.
And then as you move on, so they eventually what he does is they go to Medina.
Yeah, he gets basically run out of town.
He does. Yeah, in Mecca.
Yep.
And so they flee to Medina. They're welcome to Medina because there's a lot of stuff going on there that they needed somebody to kind of give some peace to it, so to speak. And he brought peace by the sword in Medina, killed 600 to 900 Jewish people. There was a lot of sectarian stuff happening in Medina. He took power in Medina. It actually became a political head and a military head in Medina. So Muhammad is not just a religious leader. That's important to understand. He's a political leader. He was a political leader and a military leader.
Yeah.
All three.
Yeah.
He was not only a religious leader, he was also a military commander, general, and a head of state.
Yeah.
It was all in one man.
Yep.
And as his life went on, he became much more militaristic.
Yeah.
In his advances.
And so his revelations become much more militaristic.
Yeah,
much more violent.
Yeah, that's where you get like Surah 9:29.
Yeah.
If you want to get into the Quran, I mean that's when it's like kill the
I'll just read a
kill
couple.
the infidel. You can read a couple, but these are the writings. So the writings later, especially I don't know if it starts in Surah 9. I think maybe it starts a little bit earlier.
It does. I mean, it's as early as
writings from Medina on.
And fight them on until there is no more tumult or oppression, and there prevail justice and faith in Allah. So
Surah 9:29.
So that's Surah 2:193.
Okay.
So you move on. Fighting is prescribed upon you, and ye dislike it. But it is possible that ye dislike a thing which is good for you. In other words, fighting, you may not like it, but it is good for you. Seize them and slay them wherever ye find them.
Yeah.
Surah 4.
Yeah. Them being the infidel or
and here's the thing about
kafir.
And here's another thing about the Quran is the context is often so very unclear, which is what makes it hard. People say when you talk about jihad or you pull verses like this out of the Quran, they say, well, you're taking it out of context. One of the differences between the Bible and the Quran is the Bible is always so very clear on the context, and the Quran is just not.
That's true.
Strive and fight, strive.
Strive would be jihad. So that's what jihad means when you hear that word. It's to strive.
The punishment of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive with might and main for mischief through the land is execution or crucifixion or the cutting off of hands and feet from opposite sides or exile from the land. that is their disgrace in this world, and a heavy punishment is theirs in the hereafter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
yeah, so
it goes on.
Yeah, a long time ago when I was wrestling with this, I described Muslims as peaceful when they don't know their book.
And many of them don't.
And very terroristic when they do know their book and believe it. I mean, I think that's probably the best description. And if you are a Muslim and you disagree with that, let us know. We would love to hear from you and talk to you. But that is the way I understand it, because I find the most the most devout Muslims that just absolutely know their book front and forward, front and back. They're a little more, domineering. They're a little more militaristic.
Yeah.
They're they're the ones that are crucifying guys upside down over in the Middle East, cutting off their hands and their feet, following their holy book that says to do that.
Yep.
And so,
yep.
But let's get into just some of the.
Can we just finish Muhammad real quick? Here's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Just a couple things on. So, do you know anything about his married life?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so
we can do that.
So I didn't, but this was actually really, really interesting, and I think really helpful. When he first received what he calls these revelations from Gabriel, he thought he was possessed. He
was right.
Well, he thought, but that's what he thought.
Yeah.
He thought that he had been possessed by demonic.
Sure.
It was demons. He had planned to go and kill himself. That was his plan the next day after waking up, because he's possessed. I can't face anybody, society, my family. I'm going to go kill myself. And it was his wife who told him, "No, I'm hoping that you are going to be a prophet." And that was, so he thought he was possessed, but his wife says, "No, you're probably a prophet." What's really interesting is later revelations from Allah disclosed that women were only half intelligent as men and could not be relied upon because they were often deceivers. But so that's their doctrine. That's not the Christian doctrine. That's Islam. And yet it was his wife that convinced him, "No, you're not demon possessed. You're probably a prophet." So he ends up having lots of wives. His favorite he was engaged to when she was 6.
Yeah, Aisha.
Yeah. They get married when she's 9.
Yes.
She is his favorite wife. Now, as she tells the story, Muhammad was in trance-like states regularly. Anyway, he ends up marrying. I don't know how many, 10 different women. He has his ascension into heaven. This is the last thing. We could talk about it for a while, but so they build their Dome of the Rock over the place where he supposedly ascends through the 7 heavens, meets with all of these prophets on the way to heaven. And then, I didn't know this, but when he gets to the top, when he gets to the 6th heaven, Moses is in tears. He asks Moses, why are you crying? And he said, "Because you're going to have so many more followers who follow God than I did." And he makes it into the 7th heaven and is given as wife Mary, the mother of Jesus. So Muhammad is married to the mother of Jesus. He's married to the wife of Pharaoh. And he's married to... who else is it? Yeah, he gets...
Well, no, he's not.
But the sister of Moses.
This is what their writings... Now, is this in the Hadith?
I'm sure this would be a Hadith.
Yeah, these are... they have several writings that they revere. The Quran is not the only one.
Right.
But they also have, like, the traditions handed down by the imams, the people that followed after Muhammad, and like his biography as well. So they have 3 different. They have many writings, but 3 groups of writings that are revered So that would probably be in like the Hadith or one of those. But
yeah, probably.
No, he
anyway,
he was a problematic
He was an interesting guy.
He was a man of violence.
Yeah.
He was a pedophile. You just say it.
Man.
You know, a 6-year-old, 9-year-old.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not right.
No.
And even today, you see child brides in the Muslim faith. That's a very common practice. And there was a video that just went around recently of an Afghan man who couldn't afford to feed his children. And so he sold his daughter into marriage, his like 7-year-old or 5-year-old daughter into marriage. And he received half of the payment, you know, so that he could feed his family. And he told the man that he sold her to, that, you know, the adult man that he sold this daughter to, that he would hand over his daughter in a few years. But she was still going to be a child by the time she gets to her husband, if you will. And so child brides in the Muslim faith, it's very common. And they have a lot of very inconvenient facts. You know, just along those lines, you know, the marriage to Aisha, the 6-year-old, is really problematic. But you know, the killing and the beheading of 600 to 900 Jewish men in Medina.
Yeah.
The women and children that were taken as slaves. You can take slaves of captives, and you can use the women and abuse them. That's you know, in the Quran 424, and in one of their other books is that something that they're allowed to do. I mean, they have satanic verses. Muhammad, you know, temporarily praised the pagan goddesses as intercessors, later claiming that Satan inspired the words.
Yep. The satanic verses.
Yep.
Yep.
Boy, you know, polygamy, you know, he had 11 to 13 wives simultaneously. So you said you didn't know. I mean, somewhere in the 11 to 13. He had multiple concubines as well. And there is a special Quranic exemption granted to him alone for that, I guess. He led over 27 military campaigns and took, you know, much plunder and slaves and wealth. He assassinated his critics. He killed one poet, or had somebody kill a poet that wrote something derogatory about him. It was a woman. She was killed while she was suckling her baby. Stabbed in the chest, and they came back and told Muhammad that this happened, and he said, "Well, that's good. You know, she deserved it because she wrote something bad about him." And even today, you know, there was a big firestorm kicked off in the Netherlands when a satirical comic, right? You know, he displayed Muhammad in such a way that was derogatory to Muslims, and like protests and riots and violence kicked off, you know, in multiple countries over this. I think 200 people lost their lives because Muhammad was depicted in this way that they claimed to be.
Yeah, I was reading about that in that Christ Overall.
Yep. Yeah, so one good place to go this month is Christ Overall. Just, we had already planned on talking about Islam in Sunday school, and that's, you know, and then Christ Overall is talking about Islam. That's an online publication.
It's excellent.
And they do a month focus on a theme. Last month it was Eastern Orthodox, which was also very timely. This month it's Islam. And so go there, christoverall.com, and you'll see all kinds of resources. And that is, they mentioned the Danish thing.
You just think of the difference between Muhammad and Christ. You know, Christ is on the cross and he's praying, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." And the report comes to Muhammad that this woman has been murdered, and his response is, "That's good."
Yeah, that's right.
It's just so different. The Quran speaks of, again, so you just have to say Allah is God, Muhammad is his prophet. You don't have to have your life transformed by that. If saying this external thing, good.
Yeah.
Whereas the gospel advances not through this kind of coercion, Not through an external, nobody is saved by what you say. We just try to emphasize that all the time. Nobody's saved by praying a prayer. Like, words don't save you. Jesus saves you. And it's so like our founder in Christianity is so very different from the founder of Islam. I mean, just start there. Jesus, so very different in his character and in his ministry than Muhammad in his character and in his, if we want to call it, his ministry.
Yeah, and that gets difficult because they claim Jesus as a prophet, and they revere Jesus.
They do.
They do, but they don't
But they
believe in the
revere it.
same Jesus.
I was just going to say
that we believe.
Good.
So their Jesus did not. He was not God incarnate.
Nope.
They do believe that Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, they revere Mary, which is interesting. But he was not killed on the cross. He was swapped at like the last minute.
Yeah, but even then, they're not all agreed on that. But I think most don't believe that he was crucified.
Yeah, for sure. And that is important to understand. It's not a monolithic faith, right? It's a lot like Christianity in that we have many denominations. We have different strains.
Yeah.
Right. And so Islam's the same way. Right? So it's not monolithic, but generally speaking,
yeah, right.
They do not believe that Christ died on the cross. I mean, I was listening to an imam this week that described Judas being, on the cross, but God changing the face of Judas to make it look like Jesus. And so it was the betrayer that was killed on the cross and not Jesus. Right. And then Jesus ascended. So they don't believe he died. They believe he ascended.
Yeah. So he also wasn't resurrected.
No, he didn't die. He wasn't resurrected according to Islam, but he did ascend into the heavens. He was not. He did not die. So he lives, and he will return.
And he will return.
They believe that.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking to a Muslim about these things, you have to understand and they know how to present it to you. I've had Muslims present this to me in such a way that we also believe in Jesus.
Right.
They say.
Yep.
And we believe he's going to come back.
Yep.
And we believe he's going to, he's going to conquer.
We believe in the God of Abraham.
They say this. They say it's the same God. And it's not. You have to understand it's not the same God. Number one, it's not a Trinitarian God. This is like one of the fundamental tenets of their faith. They are strict monotheists.
Yep.
And so the idea that there's a Trinity is polytheism to them.
Yeah.
And this is a big obstacle that you have to overcome with them because they will not claim Jesus as God incarnate.
Yeah,
they will not.
Right. But one of my encouragements to you is the first time that I tried witnessing to a Muslim, I got buried in the weeds of the Trinity and never got out.
Right. Yeah.
Don't. I mean, obviously, the Trinity is so very important because we believe there is only one God. Listen, Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. We believe in one God, three persons.
Sure.
Islam teaches that there's one God, and that's it. There is no Jesus is not God.
Sure.
In fact, a lot of them mistake our view of the Trinity as being God the Father, Jesus the Son, and Mary his mother.
Yeah, that's one of the iterations. Yep.
We have one of them.
Yeah, they have several.
Yeah, several.
Yeah.
So, but if the Lord gives you an opportunity to share the gospel with a Muslim, don't spend the hour that you have just debating the Trinity. Get to Jesus, and we'll close there.
Yeah, that's where we'll close.
But
there's definitely
get to Jesus.
So we've been teaching apologetics here, and there's going to be points of contact with any unbeliever, where you can go there with them and have common ground. Right, you're not going to take neutral ground and assume their position, but you're going to have a point of contact that is common to both of you, and one of them with Islam is Jesus, and they're going to claim again that he was a messenger, he was a prophet, that he ascended, that he's going to return, and that he was born of woman and Holy. They don't use Holy Spirit, but of God. They say that, and so it sounds really close.
It does,
and so I mean, you do kind of have to get to the fact that Jesus was God incarnate. I know that you can get into the weeds really easily.
Yeah. No.
But it is an obstacle to the faith. Because if Christ did not come in the flesh as the God-man. He is not a mediator between God and man.
Right.
Right? If he's human, just like us,
right.
then he's sinful just like us. Which brings up another point, is that they don't believe in original sin.
Right.
They don't believe in a federal head. We believe that in Adam all fell. That through Adam, one man, the entire human race was corrupted and fallen into sin. Mm-hmm. And so each one of us then born after Adam or born into sin. They don't believe in original sin.
Right.
So they're Pelagian. They're fully Pelagian. Mm. That's important to understand. They really do believe that you're born perfect and that you're corrupted through sin. That's why it's all law for them. Because if you weren't born with original sin, that means you can overcome it.
Right.
Through law and through almsgiving, through following the Quran, you can become perfect, which is a Pelagian heresy.
Yeah.
Whereas Christians, we would say, no, we all fell in Adam, and the second Adam came and defeated it, and for us, and died for us.
Yeah.
And paid the penalty for us.
Yeah.
And so that is a distinction. No original sin.
Right.
Their God is strictly monotheistic. There is no Trinity. They have 5 pillars. So we should just go through them real quick. The first is their declaration of faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet or his messenger. And you must say it, by the way, if you're going to convert to Islam, if you're thinking about this, you have to say it in Arabic, even if you don't know what it means in Arabic.
Right.
Which is very, very interesting. You have to memorize the Quran in Arabic, even if you don't speak Arabic.
And that's something.
They would say that any English translation of the Quran is corrupted.
Yeah. So the translation that I'm using right here, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't. It's a transliteration.
Translation.
Right, and so you can't truly know it. I have a Jewish relative who says that I can't really know what the Old Testament says because I don't know Hebrew. Mm. Right, mm-hmm. And she would even probably claim that even though you know Hebrew, that you don't know it well enough to really understand it.
Sure.
Because there's these hidden mysteries in the Hebrew language that allow you to get special knowledge through the Hebrew. And I think they say something similar with the Quran. Like you cannot know it if you don't know Arabic. And so anyway, you say the Shahada, which is there is no God but Allah, Muhammad is his messenger. That's the first tenet of their faith. Yep. First pillar. Second is 5 daily prayers. So that's why you will walk through a Costco in the middle of the day, and there'll be prayer rugs laid out, and they'll be praying.
That's bonkers.
It is totally bonkers, but I've seen it. You've seen it.
I'm not into Costco, but I guess I haven't been in the right time. But I've been over into Muslims' homes, and when the time for prayer came, they said, "We're going to have to excuse you for a minute." And they're going to pray.
I was going to work, so we have at my work we have a security shack, we have a turnstile system, we have a metal detector, and we have an X-ray machine. That's how I get into work every day.
Yeah, you do.
I walk through a barbed wire fence and a full TSA screening to get to work every day. One morning I walk in.
You can't bring your knife with you, by the way.
Yeah, you can't bring your knife or smuggle your gun in, which people have been known.
Can you imagine smuggling your gun in? That'd be bonkers.
Not confirming nor denying that anybody in this room has maybe or maybe not done that.
Probably not.
Probably that would be bonkers.
That would be bonkers.
But I'm going to work one morning, and the security guard who's supposed to be checking me through and checking the metal detector and watching my stuff go through the X-ray, he's on the floor on a prayer rug with his head to the ground, absolutely not paying any attention to what's happening in the guard shack.
Wow.
And so I just put my stuff through and walked through and said, well, I guess he's busy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be checking me in right now. That's how important their second pillar of their faith is, the 5 prayers at certain times.
Yeah, I can tell you, like, Christians could do a little bit better when it comes to our commitment to prayer. Not as a ritualistic, legalistic.
These are ritual.
I know.
These are ritual prayers.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can do other prayers, right? They can pray before. Right. So they're allowed to pray before meals. They're allowed to pray in supplication.
Yeah.
In intercession. But they have 5 times a day where they must ritualistically pray at a set time.
Yeah. Did you know that Muhammad, his original command was that they pray 50 times a day?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is in his night ride to the seventh heaven. He was commanded in the seventh heaven, you must pray 50 times a day. And he argued all the way back through the heavens down to earth and got the number,
got down to 5.
Whittled down to 5.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of Muslims thankful for that. And they have to do it at sunrise and at dawn, and then 3 other times during the day. And I heard an imam again this week talking about this, and he said that to breathe the morning fresh air that no one else has breathed yet is why they say to breathe or to pray first thing in the morning, which sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does.
Actually, there were a lot of
I like that.
There were a lot of things that this imam said where I was like, yeah. Even when it comes to the dietary laws, even when it comes to like halal, right? So the killing of certain animals in a certain way, there are certain meats that are prohibited, like pork and whatnot. But even the way the animal is cared for in its life and how it's killed or slaughtered for consumption is important to them. And they don't want the animal to feel pain. They see the animal as God's creation, and therefore worthy of respect and admiration and care. And so
we can affirm that.
I can affirm a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that he said. I was like, yeah, that's good, actually. Like, featherless chickens, that doesn't make a lot of sense because the way that we mass produce chicken nowadays, you've got chickens that aren't growing feathers. It's just one less step in the slaughter process, rather than free range chickens. And so.
Okay, so we're working through.
The third thing. So first was the declaration of faith. Second is 5 daily prayers. Third is almsgiving. They have to give 2.5% to charity. They don't have to give it to the church or whatever their mosque or whatnot, but they can just go about. It's between them and God, but they are required to give 2.5% to charity. The fourth one is they're fasting during Ramadan.
Yeah.
So there's this 30-day period, and from sunrise to sunset, they do not eat. Those in Minnesota were familiar with that. I've worked with guys that were Muslim that were not eating. We had a Minnesota Vikings player, I think, that got a lot of attention not long ago because he was fasting in August during their training camp. And he was going through that. And I don't think they can even drink. They're not supposed to.
Well, wine is also just off.
Alcohol is prohibited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's not what you were talking about. You're talking about the fast.
I'm talking about fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you go back to the food laws, there's no alcohol whatsoever. Anything that would affect your mind is prohibited.
Yeah.
And so that's the fourth fasting is the fourth pillar. The fifth pillar is their Hajj or their pilgrimage to Mecca. Once in their lifetime, they are, if financially feasible, to take a pilgrimage to Mecca. There's right now, I think last year, 2 million Muslims took a pilgrimage or Hajj to Mecca. I mean, it's huge. And then they take I think a certain number, I think it's 49 rocks. I think it is. And they throw rocks at the cube. And each rock represents a sin.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so they're throwing it at the cube and saying, the rock, the sin is the way they look at it. The devil is responsible for your sin. He's made you do it, sort of. And you take the rock and you're slaying the devil, slaying the sin. And so you name the sin, you throw it at the cube, and they claim this is a way to overcome your sin.
Why Mecca?
Mecca is where Muhammad was born. It was where the cave was that he received the vision, he says, from Gabriel. And it's where their religion started.
I think, tell me if I'm wrong, I think it's also, so their religion is born out of Ishmael. So they're...
Oh, yeah. That's an important distinction.
Right. So...
go there.
Yep. So Isaac... They reject Isaac as being God's chosen heir of Abraham. They're descendants of Ishmael, and they're arguing that Ishmael was God's choice. And I mean, that would have been so helpful. Maybe next time we'll do a follow-up, but to read through the story of Abraham and Isaac and Ishmael, and who is Hagar, and what does God say about Ishmael, and God say about Isaac, and how does Paul, write about this, in particularly in Romans. It's interesting when God says to Abraham, offer Isaac your son, your only son. It's very interesting that Ishmael is born already. Ishmael is older than Isaac, but when God says to Abraham, offer Isaac your son, your only son, God's making some very clear statements here. When God tells Hagar, your son's name is going to be Ishmael. So God names Ishmael. That's really important. God gives him his name, and his name is a wild man, and he is going to be at odds with people his whole life.
Yeah, specifically with his brother.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah, he's going to be a wild donkey of a man at war with his brother his whole life.
His whole life.
Brother being Isaac. Isaac is the son of promise in the Christian faith. That's what we believe. We believe our scriptures. And through Isaac came Jacob, came the 12 tribes of Israel, and Jesus eventually.
And Ishmael has been a wild, warring people ever since.
Yeah.
Now, and so instead of Abraham offering Isaac, the Islam teaches that Abraham was about to offer Ishmael, and I think it was at Mecca.
Yeah, I don't think they claim it was at Mount Moriah.
No,
you're right. I think it is Mecca.
I think
I didn't have time to research that, but
I think their doctrine is Ishmael was the one that was the child who tested Abraham's faith at Mecca, not Mount Moriah.
Yeah.
And so then when you just so when they say same God, no, it's a very different God, very different story.
Yeah, it is
very different origin story.
And there's just no. Yeah, this is how I'd like to end. If it's okay with you, there's no gospel, which we mentioned earlier, but there's no assurance of salvation at all.
And that's just
they can never know. They can never know if they're saved. They're at the complete mercy of this God that they're submitting to,
who changes his mind.
Yes, and no amount of works will actually matter. It is their their salvation is based on this declaration of faith and works, but even their works do not promise them anything. And so, if you ask them, if it's a religion of hope, they'll say no. It's a religion of law. It is. It's submitting to this God that has their fate in their hands, and doing everything that their law commands, which is very restrictive. You can talk about the women's covering, for instance, and just how they view women. It is not respectful to women at all.
No, they have as we started the podcast, they have a very low view of women.
Very low. Yeah. I mean, to the point where now I'm seeing women in my community walking around in full burqas, not just a head covering, right? You're talking about nothing but the eyes uncovered. I'm seeing that more and more here. And so that's just one of the laws. That's one of the things that they have to do. There's Sharia law, which is a political law. And that's important to understand too. This isn't just a religion. This is a political ideology.
Because Muhammad embodies all of this: military leader, political leader, religious leader.
Right, and they've grown through conquest. That is their method of growth. It's conquest, and the first. We can talk about the Crusades someday. I mean, I'd love to do that, but I mean, the Crusades, the first 3 Crusades, were a response to Muslim conquest that was pushing and pushing and pushing further west.
Yeah,
until they were at their doorstep, and they had to fight them off. And so yeah, it's a political ideology as much as it is a religious faith, and maybe more so. And like I said earlier, depending on the population of Muslims in the area, it switches over from kind of a evangelistic faith, where they're really trying to convert people through peace, to more of a crusader faith, or a conversion by sword. as they get more and more in their population.
Which is just a reflection of their founder, Muhammad.
That's exactly what he did.
So maybe just like close us with like how would a Christian pray for or seek to lead a conversation with a Muslim?
I think first we have to understand they're a child. They are an image bearer. They are a fellow image bearer, made in the image of God.
Made in the image of God.
Right. They're lacking real hope. Yeah. They're lacking real assurance. Right. They don't have any promise of paradise. And I think aside from waging jihad and dying via killing an infidel, it's about the only guarantee that you're going to make it into paradise.
And even then, what is paradise? It's like beautiful women and money and stuff.
Drink all the alcohol you want. Don't get drunk. These are the things.
It's not God. No. What is paradise for the Christian? Paradise is you get to be with God. Like God is the treasure. God is the gospel. Mm-hmm. And that's not paradise we get to be with our Father. Like it's homecoming. Like for Christianity, we have a relationship with our God through Jesus Christ. You don't have a relationship with Allah in Islam. We have a relationship, and eternity, paradise, is our homecoming. It's the wedding celebration. The bride is finally with the bridegroom. The daughters and sons are finally with their Abba Father. Yeah. God is the gospel, as one pastor once said.
Absolutely, and that may or may not resonate with Muslims. I would say here they say it is a religion of jihad or striving.
Jihad meaning striving.
So they have to strive to enter paradise through law, through works, and they strive their entire lives to try to enter paradise, so that maybe God would be merciful to them in the end. But maybe he won't.
Maybe not. He changes his mind.
And I would say that our faith is one where you no longer strive, but you actually surrender to God and to the one who did it perfect already. So you don't strive to enter in Christianity. We do not strive to enter into heaven. We stop striving and take his yoke upon us, and we allow him to carry us through. And we stop striving. We stop trying to do the law to earn perfection. And I would say that's where maybe you can find a touch point.
Because
Muslims.
What's so interesting is in that surrender, that's what Islam means. Mm-hmm. You talk about like Islam, Muslim. What does that mean? It means surrender. Here's what the gospel teaches.
Yeah.
Which is my word would be I've heard some incredible conversion stories from Muslims to Christianity, and most of them are heartbreaking, like you mentioned, in that they lost everything in doing that. Mm-hmm. And Jesus talks about that. Mm-hmm. Jesus says, if you love father, mother, or land, or all these things more than me, look, he says, count the cost. It'll cost you family, and probably nobody experiences that more than a Muslim. But every conversion story I've ever heard, we could have talked about dreams. Some mm-hmm. that's really interesting. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are coming to faith through the Word, but a doorway into the Word has been what they claim is God showing up in their dreams mm-hmm. and making Himself known to them through His Word, but in their dreams. That's really amazing. But I've never heard of a single conversion story personally that didn't revolve around a relationship. Mm-hmm. Mm. Like they're going to lose their community probably when they convert from Islam to Christianity. And do they have a community to come into? Is there a relationship? Like, so, have your street preaching or your one-off conversations at the coffee shop or wherever where the Lord gives you opportunity. But the relationship piece, I think, is so important.
For sure. Yeah, they're going to lose their family. They're going to lose their community if they convert, and that's why they hold on. They stay in their groups. I mean, their children stay Muslim. They're worried about losing their children, much like we are. Especially in the West.
Sure.
Because there are secular influences that are changing, but but they still seem to hold their children better than most, I think, in the Christian world. I mean, I see where I work, I see a lot of young Muslim girls that I'm assuming are second or third or generation.
Yeah.
That are still, even in middle school, wearing their head coverings. They're out on a soccer field, wearing these restrictive gowns. It's they are set apart and they are different. Like you can't see a Christian. And here's an important thing to distinguish: it is an entire encompassing worldview. We've been talking about worldviews,
right,
in apologetics class. Islam is an entire worldview that is totally encompassing of their entire life.
Right.
So you can spot a Muslim. Most here in the West, you can spot them pretty quickly because they adhere to this worldview wholeheartedly, and they think when they come to America, which they see as a Christian nation.
Right.
Right. In America, we like to say it's not a Christian nation, but you know what? Ask people around the world, and they'll say no, America's a Christian nation.
Right.
And so when they come here and they see Christians here. And they see Christians, or they see Americans, I should say.
Good. Yeah.
Right. And some Christians acting crazy.
Yep.
Right. And getting tattoos. Like tattoos are forbidden, by the way.
Right.
In Islam.
So when I interact with them, I have to cover up.
Yeah. They do not like your tattoos.
No, they don't.
But when they see the way we live in the West, and they're like, man, if that's Christianity, I want no part of it.
Right.
It doesn't revere God.
Right.
It's not set apart. They look just like every other crazy person.
Right.
And they see Christians acting this way too. They're not drawn to that. They are drawn to this submissive, very reverential faith. I mean, it is. When they say the way they pray, just the way they pray is evidence of their reverence that they have for their God.
Yeah.
Which is not our God. But bowing their head all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
In complete submission.
Yeah, how often do you see Christians in a posture of worship before King Jesus?
Yeah, you don't.
Right.
You don't. And so, but they're doing it, again, some of them may be doing it from a heart of worship, for sure. They do claim Allah is the one they worship, the one that worthy of worship. But there are probably some that are just doing it out of duty.
Or fear.
For sure, fear. And so I think the touch point really is you will not be granted salvation by works of the law.
Yeah.
That your works are rubbish, and that no amount will stand before a holy God. No amount of works will stand before a holy God.
If Allah is holy, what makes you think he's going to let you in?
Yeah. That's right. But if you surrender to the one who did it for you.
If you surrender to the one who did it for you. So I think, right, you seek to befriend them. Like, just be their friend. Don't be their bully. Don't be their theological bully. Don't be their sparring partner. Again, to talk about Jesus as God is to speak of the Trinity, but don't get lost in the weeds of how the Trinity can happen. I mean, this is such a mystery even to those of us who love this doctrine.
Yeah.
Who is Jesus? I would just encourage you to keep coming back to that. Be their friend. Don't be their bully. Keep coming back to Jesus. Who is Jesus? And the historical Jesus, the Jesus who really did live and really did die on a cross, and there's really good evidence for this. Really did rise again. Look at the apostles. I mean, you just these guys went from being cowards to being the most courageous people on the planet. And how does that happen? So just keep going back to the gospel. The word of God is powerful. We've talked about this often in our Sunday school class, but your arguments aren't ever going to win anybody. We can't argue well enough. We can't argue eloquently enough. We can't be articulate enough to win somebody to Jesus. It has to be the Holy Spirit. It has to be the grace and the mercy of God. And so we pray, we befriend them, and we keep bringing the gospel to bear in the conversation. And I think just emphasizing the freedom and the hope that we have in Christ, as opposed to the hopelessness, or maybe not hopelessness, but you're never going to be good enough. Deep down, you know it. And then when you stand before God, Allah, on Judgment Day, and they're going to say that, you're going to stand before Him, you're going to give an account. We say that as Christians. We're basing everything on Christ. mean, we have all of our eggs in the basket of Christ, and they're basing that all of their eggs are in this basket of obedience, submission, and the whim of a God who is free to contradict himself and change his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So learn about this faith that is confronting us here in America. You're gonna, and there's two ways to approach this conversation with Muslims. There is you're talking about building relationship, and oftentimes I think what's going to happen when you have this relationship with Muslims is you're going to be defending more than you are. You're going to be on defense of your faith more often than you're going to be on offense.
Right, that's true.
They are going to be attacking, maybe not verbally attacking or in a mean way attacking your faith, but they're going to be questioning your faith.
Yeah,
because they do know a lot about our faith.
The ones that I've connected with are very intelligent.
So you need to dig in and you need to know what they believe, and don't be afraid to go on offense with gentleness and respect to say true things, the uncomfortable things about Mohammedanism. And I think you can go on offense sometimes too. So you can't win a football game without an offense. Right.
That's right.
And I'm not saying you're going to win an argument. We're not trying to win an argument.
That's right.
But you can't frustrate someone's worldview that they have, which it is. Islam is an all-encompassing worldview. And you're not going to frustrate their worldview without going on offense. And so you do need to find the underlying presuppositions to their faith that build up their worldview. And then you need to challenge them. So, you can challenge the writing of the Quran. You can challenge Muhammad being this peaceful, prophet. Yeah. You can challenge a lot of these beliefs and do that with gentleness and respect while being their friend. Maintain the relationship as much as possible, as much as it's up to us. Be at peace with everyone. Yeah, Paul says.
And don't pretend like you know more than you know.
For sure.
If you don't know the answer, what a beautiful thing to say. That's really great. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could we have this conversation again? Next Tuesday. I want to look into this.
And you can ask them to tell you more.
Yeah.
I mean, just get them talking. Tell me what you believe. I mean, what a great opportunity to learn Islam from a Muslim.
From
one who practices it. So have the conversations, and we're going to have more and more opportunities to do this, and whether we like it or not.
Yep.
And so you just need to embrace it. But I think it's important to say that Islam is fundamentally opposed to a Christian worldview.
Oh, absolutely.
And they are a conquering faith, if you will, a conquering ideology. And if possible, they will and want Sharia law to be enacted in every place in which they live. And they use democracy. They subvert democracy to their ends. We've got, the New York mayor, Zohran Mamdani, that is a Muslim, that is, they will put on the liberal democracy or the leftist ideologies. Like, they don't mind adopting LGBTQ stuff, even though it is against Sharia. They'll adopt that mindset to subvert democracy here and then bring in their people. I mean, you can look at Canada, you can look at the UK. More and more Muslims are assuming positions of power. That's how they conquer. And that they're going to do it through our democratic system as they move in. And I'm not saying like the Muslim that you're interacting with has that mindset.
Right.
But
talking about a framework.
I'm talking about a framework of the ideology.
Yeah.
Is that's how they're going to conquer the world. And Sharia eventually is what they want for everywhere that they live. Just like we would say we want our country to be Christian and we want our laws to be as close to Christian morals and ethics as we can have them, because we believe that they are true and good for society. They would say that Sharia is the only true and good law for society.
Yeah, but there it's the cart and the horse. So when you have a culture that has its laws are reflective of the gospel, that's I'm arguing. I want to see that in our country, but that's the fruit of Christianity spreading across the globe through. So Jesus says, "I'm sending you out as sheep among wolves." Right?
Yes and no.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
We have different. I would say yes, that you don't need 51% of the population to be Christian to have Christian laws. I believe that you can actually, from the top down, you can do a lot to drive out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drive out non-Christian ideals, but that's
yeah.
I know what you're saying. I get it.
We could talk about Christian nationalism sometime. That'd be a really fun conversation.
Right.
I think the point I want to emphasize that we're going to agree on is Christianity doesn't advance by the sword.
That's true.
Right. That's
as a faith.
As a faith. That's the biggest thing I want to emphasize here.
Right.
Is we're not going to advance the Christian faith
not at all.
With the sword. Right. Jesus says, "I'm sending you out as sheep," and he tells his disciples, like, we don't read anything about cutting off fingertips.
Yeah.
Or whatever else.
That's right.
Right. We hear Jesus say, Matthew 5:44, "Look, I'm telling you, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you."
Yeah.
That's totally different than what we read in the Quran.
Absolutely. And if my two choices are a set of laws based very closely on the Bible, not a theocracy, hear me, but a set of laws that are consistent with Scripture in our Old Testament and New Testament, or Sharia law, man, I don't want the Sharia law.
No, right.
And so,
yeah.
So we need to stand against the political ideology that is Islam.
Yeah.
Love the Muslim in front of you.
Good.
So that you share the gospel with them.
Good.
You can do both things at once.
Yeah.
It's not unloving to call out political Islam.
Right.
Right. That's not unloving.
I think it's a very
to the Muslim in front of you.
Yeah.
You're actually loving the Muslim in front of you by calling out political Islam.
Right, absolutely.
Because you can share. You're protecting them from this oppressive Sharia law.
Yeah.
That could very well come here. It's just go look at the UK, go look at other places, go look at Canada. You're going to find that it is infiltrating. But we got to wrap it up.
As we do this, as we hope and pray and engage, we know that Christ is already won. His Spirit is at work in His people. He is building His church. The gates of hell can't stand against it, which means the church is on the offense.
Yes.
The knowledge of the glory of God will cover the earth like waters cover the sea, which means Muslims are going to get wrapped up into this. Jesus longs for all peoples to be saved. He's going to work through the church. We have all power and all authority as we go and make disciples of all the nations. And so there are so many reasons to be very optimistic as we seek to plunder this Leviathan.
Deus Vult. All right. That's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in to Plundering Leviathan. And whatever you do it with gentleness and respect as you confront or engage with Muslims. But remember, Leviathan is bound. Go take his stuff. Until next time.
Hey, push the button that says, is there a button on there? Yep, end it.